like I was super self-conscious, and I've always kind of been a heavier set person, so my self-confidence level was never really, it was low. I had zero self-confidence when I was growing up. And until the last year or so, my self-confidence has been way, way higher. And it's interesting to see the change in character in myself once I kind of let that go. Like, I don't give a fuck what other people say. Like, this is me. If you don't like it, you don't have to get on board. And, it's hard to be honest about that because everyone wants to be liked. But when you don't act like yourself, you're like conforming, like you're like a piece of putty that the people you're trying to hang out with are sculpting, and you're trying to fit into that mold that they want. And I've been there. I've done that. I never skateboarded. I wore skate shoes because I wanted to fit in with the skate crowd. And it's just like stuff like that. You start conforming. You're not yourself when you try to act like a certain way to please people. And this is something that I didn't notice until this is very recent for me. This is something that's very new to me to think about it like that. This is me. And I can only control me and what I'm doing right now. And it's very humbling, but yet it brings in all this bullshit where it's like, oh, are people gonna like me? You still think about it. It's the ego. The ego's there. Like, your ego needs to get fueled, but you gotta let that shit go. Like, you can't think about, oh, am I doing it right? Oh, are people gonna approve of what I'm doing? I would love for this to work out, and I would love for this to be an extremely successful podcast. And all the criticism aside, and whatever negative people are going to, negative shit that people are going to say about me, it's, if I didn't come on here and do what I'm doing now and talk to everybody out there that's listening to this the way I am, I would feel shitty about it. Like, if I came on here and lied to you guys about how I am and this is how it is, and everything's great when it's not. That's not reality. If you look at anybody in the face and they say, yeah, every part of my life is fucking immaculate, they're full of shit. Like, there's always something that's, under those layers of the onion. It's hard to look at it to get to the bottom of it. You gotta pull a lot of layers off to get to that shit. And it's scary sometimes when you think about stuff, and sometimes it's stuff that you don't want to hear about. And everybody has that stuff. But I've been listening to these podcasts, and I just listened to one On It podcast with Kyle Kingsbury, and he talks about his childhood and growing up, and life's fucking hard for everybody. It's not just you. If you're out there and you're thinking life's hard, people struggle. I mean, that's a part of life. Struggle. Like, my girlfriend, she's amazing. She's making me run, and I love running, and I haven't been doing it. But, when you're dying, not dying, essentially, but like physically dying while you're exercising, oh, I feel like I'm going to throw up. I have a cramp in my stomach. All these signs that are, I've always loved this feeling. All the signs saying stop. Stop, stop, stop. I hurt. Everything hurts. My feet hurt. My calves are cramping up. My stomach's cramping up. Everything. And you have the mental power to just shut that shit down and say, I'm going to run this one more lap. It does something to you when you push yourself like that. And I think exercise is such a valuable thing that everybody should be doing. I'm not the most fit guy. I don't have a six-pack. I'm chubby, but I still enjoy exercising. And I enjoy pushing that level. when you can push through the barrier of your body telling you, fuck, I can't do anymore, and you mentally can break through that, it's really rejuvenating. Like, you feel so good after you were just dying. Everything hurt. Your body was telling you to stop, but you push through it, and then you get done, and there's that feeling of, I fucking did it. Like, I pushed through that barrier. And, I've had experiences like that before. Anyone that's physically thrown up while they exercise has broken through that barrier. You pushed it so hard that your body is now cramping and everything is coming out because you pushed it to the limit. And that's a thing that a lot of people aren't willing to get to that point. They want to quit when it starts to get hard, not at the max effort. I was listening to a podcast with Joe Rogan and David Goggins, the ultramarathon ultra running guy, and he said most people quit at 40% or something along those lines. And I totally could agree with that. I always used to quit earlier than I should have when I used to exercise. And I had a friend in high school that played club soccer, and he would, give me workouts to do that sounded impossible. But he would sit there and encourage and tell me to push it the whole time. And when you push through those barriers of exhaustion, muscle fatigue, all that stuff's just creeping in, probably dehydration, everything's coming to you're getting very just, okay, I gotta quit. And you push through that, and it's a feeling that is not replicated. I mean, it's one of those out of body experiences. And it's almost like, who's working this body right now? Because everything's saying to stop, and it's still going. Where's this coming from? Kind of that feeling. Anyone that's ever ran and has pushed that last, everyone's like, push that last little bit. When your body's dying and you push that last half a lap or whatever it is, and you feel this weird euphoric feeling where you feel really light. It almost gets easier when you start to push it. That's an addictive feeling. And I could totally understand how those guys can run that far and, push that limit, because that's the addiction. You get addicted to that feeling of pushing your body to the limit. And it's interesting to see how people are different when it comes to pushing that and being out of their comfort zone. I've done a podcast on comfort zone, and this is turning into a big old rant, but this is how I've been feeling. I gotta be real with you guys. And, pretty much the gist of this whole podcast is you can't half-ass it. If you half-ass it, you have to go back and do it right. And if you half-ass it and you don't go back and do it right, you'll always have that regret of not going back and doing it right. And it's hard. Life's hard. Life throws you challenges and crazy shit that you don't want to deal with at that time. And you should deal with it right then, and you put it in the back. Oh, I won't deal with that. Or time gets constrained. That's a big thing that I've been thinking about right now also. Time. I work 8 hours a day, and it's it's one of those things that's a huge chunk of my time. If I had that time back, I could go to the gym, I could record podcasts, I could read more books, I could do all this stuff that I am trying to fit into these little windows after my workday. And I would love to be able to turn this podcast into a job that supported me and my family and everything, and be happy and, be able to do what I want. I listen to a lot of these these things, and a lot of them are really successful people, and they talk about how they're in their own business. I want to be in the Tanner Westbrook business where I could do whatever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want to do it. Like that's what you should want to do that. Me and my wonderful girlfriend, we were walking down by the beach, and, you see these shops of these older ladies, and they're, one was a bead shop, and it was just something small, like a trinket shop, and I bet she's happy every day she goes into work. There is that stuff where it's like, oh, can I get the bills? There's always those things. But as far as she's probably doing that because she loves her little shop, and that's her thing. And a lot of people just, like I said, conform to that mold that they think they need to fit into. When if the world was filled with people that just, went with what they wanted to do, instead of, we'd have less people angry on the road trying to kill us. And, I had a guy this morning almost run me off the road and all this shit. And it's like, I bet that guy's not doing what he wanted to do. He probably forgot his fucking coffee at the house, and, he's all pissed off because he had to turn around and get it and almost ran me off the road. Or some bullshit, that's not necessary to have. Life's too fucking short to stress about all this small shit that doesn't matter. The gist of this whole thing is, try to do what you want, and it can change. I used to think I wanted to play golf. Then I was like, oh, I can work on a golf course. And now I'm changing that to, I want to become a podcaster. And it's one of those things that you can do different stuff, but you have to be able to separate that old stuff from the new stuff, but keep the experiences that you've had from the old stuff and put them into the new stuff to make them a more evolved person that is doing it. And that's what I'm trying to do now. And I hope that if you listen to this whole thing, that some of this resonated with you and it, struck a chord. I get emotional sometimes when I listen to stuff like this, and it's, it's refreshing to know that you're not the only one. So with that note, I hope you guys have a great fucking week, and I'm going to be trying to do a lot more of these and get these rolling and get more consistent and all this stuff. And, I'm going to be, this is 100% transparency with you. And that's what you're going to get from me. I'm going to be honest and, really, tell everybody how I feel about, the hard subjects. It's easy to talk about the good shit, but it's a lot harder to talk about the stuff that's hard in your life and get it out there. And that's what I'll leave you with today. And like I said, have a great fucking week and get it done. And go fucking kill it and be honest with yourself about what you want in life. All right. That's it.